Hello everyone and welcome back to my Samurai Rundown. In this part I want to talk about tips and tech for the Samurai. So I'll start with the basics of combos. As you've probably gathered by now, there are 5 main combos you're going to be using. 3 for single target and 2 for taking out large groups of enemies. Hakaze will start all of your single target combos. From there you have either Shifu into Kasha, Jinpu into Gecko, or just Yukikaze. During your open end rotation, usually you want to go the Kasha combo first, then the Jinpu one. This is going to be because your gear is ideally going to be built around hitting a certain skill speed tier, and this will help you basically line up all your strong cooldowns together so nothing gets wasted. So every moment you spend without the skill speed buff really does risk misaligning your cooldowns. After this, the Gecko combo is the second priority because of course the damage buff. Yukikaze is always safe for last unless it's going to help you sync up cooldowns. For AoE combos, Fuga is your starter with Mangetsu or Oka after. Straightforward, both give you a Sen so you can do both combos followed by Tenka Goken. Being one of the core things about Samurai's kit means Iaijutsu has quite a few things to note. The first thing I want to point out is something I've seen a few newer Samurai ask about, which is Higanbana and Kaishi Higanbana, the version you get when you use Tsubame Gaeshi. These do not stack together, and the Tsubame Gaeshi version will override the normal Higanbana. There is no synergy here whatsoever, so you can pretty much disregard this entire ability, because it's just not worth it. Another thing to note is that even though Tsubame Gaeshi triggers the global cooldown, it's actually not a weapon skill, it's an ability. Therefore, Hisatsu Kaiten will not increase the damage of Tsubame Gaeshi. This is why the Tsubame Gaeshi versions of all the Iaijutsus have 50% more potency. It's to give him the same damage as a Kaiten buffed Iaijutsu would have normally. Speaking of Kaiten, you might be wondering what moves to use this on. As you might know, it doesn't work on abilities, so Tsubame Gaeshi, Hisatsu Sene, etc. It's not going to work. What you're going to want to do is you want to pretty much save it exclusively for Iaijutsu. There's a reason you're going to want to do this instead of using it on something like Gecko or Kasha. I'm going to show on screen something from the PvE Samurai Guide that you can find on the Balance Discord. I'm also going to put the names of the authors on screen. This is going to show you a calculation of the amount of potency you'll gain per Kenki spent. As you can see here, Kaiten when used with Higanbana will give you the best results, followed by a Sene, and then a Kaiten on Madare. Guren is worth 17 potency per Kenki for each mob it hits, meaning that if you are facing more than one target, it's better to use this instead of Sene. Now the reason I want to show you this is because if we look here, we have Shinten, which is our 25 Kenki gauge stab ability. You can think of this as the value floor. Anything below this isn't really worth the Kenki spent when it comes to damage. Yaten and Gyoten have some situations where they might be worthwhile for other reasons, but I'm going to get to that soon. Anyway, with Shinten at the value floor, this means you're going to want to use it to burn excess Kenki if you're getting too close to capping, or if Ikki Shoten's about to come off cooldown and you have more than 50 available. So in this case, you just hit the boss a couple times with Shinten to burn it. Underneath Shinten, we have Kaiten when used on a 480 potency combo ender. This falls below the value floor, meaning using it on Gecko, Kasha, Yukikaze, it's not worthwhile. This was basically just a very wordy way of saying Kaiten's used exclusively for Iaijutsu. If you know damage is going to be coming your way, either from like a raid-wide AoE or any other form of unavoidable damage, using Third Eye and then countering with Seigen is actually a potency gain per Kenki, since it only costs 15 instead of 25. Although it might be minor, it's enough to make an impact, and not to mention the fact the parry move is kinda cool. Now Gyoten, Yaten and MP, these moves can be a little tricky. Simply put, Gyoten and Yaten are only really worth using if it means you can gain a GCD that you would have otherwise lost. Even then, in some situations, using Sprint might be enough to do the trick, so really, these moves and whether or not to use them come down to optimization and learning the fight. Similar with MP, it's only really valuable to use when you need to stay away from the boss to do a mechanic and you can't hit the boss from melee range. Not to mention it breaks combos, making it not worthwhile if you're already midway through a combo. Again though, all this comes down to optimization, learning the fight, so if you really need to use it for a while you're learning, then feel free. Meikyo works on the next 3 weapon skills used, so if you use MP or a part of a combo that isn't an ender, you will lose one of those 3 uses of it. However, Iaijutsu doesn't count. So if you have 2 Sen up and you cast Meikyo, you can use your final combo ender, Madare Setsugeka, do another combo ender to get another Sen, use Higanbana, then you'll be able to do one more time to get another Sen. So you're really only ever going to use these casts on combo enders. Doing it to get Shifu or Jinpu buffs ends up being a damage loss since you're going to have to go through that combo again to get the Sen anyway. Also, as a small tip, if you have one usage of Meikyo left and no Sen built, then it's more worthwhile to use it on Gecko or Kasha than Yukikaze, since it takes 3 global cooldown to reach those moves, whereas Yukikaze only takes 2, and it gives you an extra 5 Sen. It's a minor thing that can go a long way. Hagakure you might look at and think it's not worth it. Only 10 Kenki per Sen when you can easily get more value out of a Madari or Higanbana. Well, it does have its uses, but it's really more of an optimization tool. Say the boss becomes untargetable and by the time they come back you've lost the Shifu and Jinpu buffs, but you already have one of the Sen related to those 2 combos. It can be worth it to use Hagakure here, since you're going to want to reapply those buffs straight away, and this way you're not going to be wasting Sen. If you have 3 Sen stacked up in this situation, you might want to just go for Jinpu first, get that buff Madari out, then continue as normal. Other times you might want to use Hagakure to help line up your cooldowns. In a situation where you get to hit the boss uninterrupted, you might find yourself with 3 Sen, 2 casts into a combo, and Tsubame Gaeshi is still 6 seconds off cooldown. In this situation, you don't want to finish that combo because it'll waste a Sen, and you don't want to Madare and wait the last 3 seconds for Tsubame Gaeshi to come off cooldown because that'll waste time. If you cast Madare, then finish your combo, you now have Tsubame up, but it isn't going to be used for 10 or so seconds. These 10 seconds could add up and make you miss out an entire cast of it later on in the fight. That's not good. So depending on how long or short your global cooldown is, you might want to do what we call filler. This could be doing an entire Gecko combo, using Hagakure to eat it, and then just repeating the combo later on before Madare. This 6 seconds or so you gain means Tsubame Gaeshi is up right as you need it. Another filler example is eating Yukikaze, or even casting Yaten into MP. It all comes down to what your current stats are at the time. And lastly, I want to talk about Higanbana. So first off, it takes up to 42 seconds for Higanbana to become worth it. So if you know the fight's going to end or the boss will become invincible within the next 40 seconds, hold off on refreshing it and save it for a Madare. Even though it takes 42 seconds for Higanbana to become worth it, keep in mind that at its full length, it's 1050 potency, or 1575 potency under Kaiten, making it our strongest move dealt over a minute. You'll get even more damage if this is used during your raid buff window. Fortunately for us, Higanbana being 60 seconds long means it lines up pretty well with most buffs. Oh, and before I forget to mention it, positionals, use them. As a samurai, you won't really have positionals when you first unlock the job, but once you unlock the Kenki gauge, there is a 5 Kenki gain tied to positionals on Gecko and Kasha. Use Gecko from the target's rear and Kasha from the flank. I felt like I had to chuck this in last second because I see a lot of samurai read their skills at 50 and then spend the next 30 levels thinking they don't have positionals. Now for the fun stuff. I'm going to show you an example of a samurai opener and rotation. Before I start, I just want to say that with a lot of jobs, there can be more than one optimal opener or rotation. This applies to samurai too. Last time I checked, there was 4 optimal openers, with even more that are fight specific. However, I'm going to show you the one that I use as my baseline. So I start with Hikaze and then I use Ikishoten to get the earliest possible cooldown on that I can. I then do Shifu, Kasha, Hikaze, and if I'm planning to use a strength potion, I'll use it here. Then Jinpu, which I follow up with a Kaiten Higanbana. Once the cast bar for Higanbana ends, I use Sene. I use it here and not earlier because I want to get it with the Jinpu buff. Then I'll do Gecko to finish the combo off before I use Meikyo into Kasha with the Shinten, Yukikaze, then a Kaiten Madare Setsugeka. Then I'll do a Kaishi Setsugeka, which will give me my 3rd stack of meditation, so I can instantly weave in a Shoha before I use Gecko again. Then I'll do my rotation as normal, the Kasha combo, the Yukikaze combo, and then I'll use Kaiten Madare Setsugeka. This is also where the strength potion will fall off if I used it before. Then from here it's just rinse and repeat. If I don't have any downtime, I'll finish my Gecko combo, eat it with Hagakure to help line up my Tsubame Gaeshi, but if there is downtime, I will leave that part out and just continue as normal. I'll do it again here with no breaks in between. And that's my rundown on Samurai. I hope that I was able to give you an idea on what to expect when playing Samurai, and if there's any advice you may think I missed, feel free to drop in the comments below. Same with any further questions you might have. In the description for both the videos, I'm going to leave a link to a few Samurai guides as well as a link to the Balance Discord, which is very useful for learning any job in the game. I want to turn this into a series eventually where I'll cover every job, so any support, likes, telling your friends and so on will be a welcome help. So thanks everyone, and good luck.